To do the Pledge of Allegiance, we always have fun people volunteers, and we have all of our new people lead in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. So welcome. First week of school. A little busy. If I can get, how does the agenda look to everyone? If we don't need to do any additions or deletions, can I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Can I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone abstain? The agenda is approved. So, as we said, new school year, exciting. We're going to have Dr. Hester or Crystal, Ms. Choate, introduce the new staff for 2023-2024. And welcome, everybody. It was so nice to see you all at the reception. We appreciate you coming out and letting us meet you one-on-one.
Before we start doing that, I need to pick on someone. And the person I usually pick on is doing something. So, Ms. Royer, you're going to be the next person I pick on. Is she someone that we're recognizing?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you need a
picture taker? I need a official picture taker person.
So we want everyone to come stand up front, correct?
Yes, please.
All right. Good. Is this working?
We're not sure if you can plug in.
No. Good evening. I'm so excited to see everyone here this evening. I'm Crystal Choate, Supervisor of Human Resources. I got the honor at convocation of introducing the newest staff members to Nelson County Public Schools. Many of them have joined us this evening. They were here for the reception, and then they're here to be recognized at the start of the board meeting. I will say that some of our new staff have already been signed up for coaching duties, so they are not here this evening. They are coaching fall sports, so that's really awesome. We also have some others who were not able to be here because they've got activities with their own children, but we're really excited that so many of you were able to join us and get to meet our board members and each other. So as I call your name, if you will just come stand where Dr. Hester directs you, we'll have everyone stand up front and then recognize you. And knowing it's the first week of school and people are very tired, you're welcome. Once there will be an opportunity, if you need to get home and have dinner and work on things that you have to do and take care of kids, you're welcome to leave during a short intermission. All right, so recognizing our new full-time hires at the division level, we have Rachel Reudinger, who is our Director of Special Education and Student Services. Chris Dowdy is also joining at the division level as a bus driver, and I believe he is coaching this evening or had an obligation with one of his own kids playing the sport. From Rockfish River Elementary School, we have Ashley Clarkson, who's teaching 3rd grade. Anna Fitzgerald, who's teaching 1st grade. Harmony Hudson, who wasn't able to be with us this evening, is the new early childhood special education teacher at Rockfish. And we have Dan Stromberg, who is the new health and PE teacher at Rockfish. At Ty River Elementary School, we welcome Heather Coughlin as the new principal. Jessica Creasy joined the staff as a special education teacher. Caroline DeChant is a new art teacher at Ty River Elementary School. And Tiffany Drumheller joined the cafeteria staff at Ty River. At Nelson Middle School, Grace Blanks is a new English teacher. Nicole Dowdy is also teaching English. Tanya Andrews is technology education. And Jennifer Pollard is the bookkeeper secretary. From Nelson County High School, Nicole Cober Lake joined the English department. William Doyle joined the department, the special education department. Preston Massey is teaching math. Didier Monsione, first semester is the ISS supervisor at the middle school, and second semester will be one of the health and PE teachers at the high school. Carmen Monsione is a new special education teacher. Alicio Perez is a new Spanish teacher at the high school. Leslie Roberson is teaching English at the high school. Gabriela Sabino is a science teacher at the high school. Marin Tettelbach is the new transition school counselor working 8th and 9th grade at the middle and high school. Cora Marshall joined the cafeteria staff at the high school. And Brooke Berry is the new guidance secretary, who started just a few days ago. I don't think I left anyone out. Colby Lopez is with us this evening, and she's one of our special transfers. She's been in our school division as an ESOL teacher and coordinator for over 15 years and is now the assistant principal at Rockfish River Elementary School. I'd like to just finish up by saying that our new staff is coming to us from 9 school divisions, which is very exciting because they're bringing things about where they worked before and their own environments and bringing those to Nelson. And then we also this year hired 6 individuals who are brand new teachers, and so they are being mentored and supported as first-year teachers with the school division. So it's such an honor to have the individuals who are able to make it this evening. This is a wonderful group of individuals who are all making a difference for the students in Nelson County Public Schools. Thank you.
As Mrs. Choate said, we know it's the first week of school. Please do not feel like you have to stay for the rest of the week. You'll enjoy your evening. But stay if you'd like. Okay, guys, so we are now at the comments from board members section of the meeting. So we're going to start with you, Mrs. Claire. You get to be the lucky one all the time.
Set the tone for the meeting.
There you go.
Brief it is. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm so excited for this. I missed convocation this year because I've just been having trauma at work, I'm sorry to say, but very excited about this new year. Very excited about all the new people. Welcome to everybody new. And along with all their commitments to our school system, I'm going to make a commitment that I'm going to be in the school a lot more this year, being present there. I'm going to commit to it. So, welcome to everybody. Thanks.
Well, it was great seeing everyone at the new member reception, and also it was a wonderful convocation. Nice to see all of the energy flowing, and just looking forward to a great year. Thank you. Mr. Perkins?
Just looking forward to having a great year for our teachers and students, and glad everyone can come out this evening and spend a little time.
Welcome to New Year. Convocation was wonderful, well done. I'm going to give a shout out to Dr. Hester, well prepared, well done, but also to our Teacher of the Year did an amazing talk. I mean, just really off the chart. So kudos to her. Also, new year, new start, fresh start, as we say, and I think I said the convocation. Every year is an opportunity to write a new chapter, rewrite one, and write a new one. So good luck to you all this year. We're here to support you, as well as the students, and if you just reach out. But otherwise, again, and
all right. So, yes, we have had a great start to the school year. I want to thank all of our staff who worked hard over the summer. There's a misnomer that educators take the summer off, and it doesn't really matter what position you're in. Our maintenance and custodians worked hard all summer long to ensure that our buildings were ready to go. We have a lot of projects going on, some tied to the CIP and some that were nice little surprises that we needed to address at that time in order to make sure we could open up on time. And then we had our custodians preparing our buildings so when we welcomed our students back that they were in the best condition that they could be in. And that isn't always easy because we had a pretty hot summer. And a lot of this work took place outside or with some of the AC units shut down just so we can make sure that we're working on our work, we're working on a pipeline, we're working on a lot of different things. Our school nutrition and transportation departments were busy because they spent their time supporting our students during summer remediation and summer learning, serving our breakfast and our lunch, and then also providing car, van, bus transportation for all of our kids to go back and forth. And many of our staff work summer learning. And so whether it's an instructional aide or a teacher, many of them were taking time throughout the summer to work with our students to the various learning programs. We also have our school resource officers. We had a good collaboration between the sheriff's office and our school resource officers where they were attending some of the top-rated school safety conferences to bring back and then prepare presentations for the beginning of the school year to make sure that all of our staff feel like they're aware of what they need to be doing and how to appropriately respond in certain events and really kind of widely spread what all those types of events could be. Things like training with tourniquets, training on how to respond to active shooter instances. And so really taking that component very seriously and integrating our law enforcement agency to be able to support us in that. And our administrators and division level staff participated in professional learning activities all summer long so they can better support our students and staff going to conferences, the different day-to-day activities that they participate in to make for a successful school year. And then, of course, as Ms. Choate, was able to recognize all of our new staff. HR works very, very hard throughout the summer to make sure that, we are getting the most highly qualified candidates that we can and recruiting far and wide to be able to bring in people into Nelson County to work. Last but not least, I also want to thank our students and families, the community, to make this kick off our school year well, but also make for a great school year. It is very lonely in the buildings when we don't have our students there, and we miss them because that's why we're in the business that we are. Kind of coupled with that, something that is difficult to come about and develop. I want to thank MECA. They are our partners for after-school program. They have been working very, very hard over the last few months to be able to ensure that we're able to provide that service to our families. I want to say about 18 students signed up between Rockfish and Thai River. It's right now currently located at one site, simply the beginning process of providing this service. But as we progress through the year, we're really hoping to have 2 locations and to be able to open that up for more students. And then as our board was just talking about convocation, what a great special opportunity to bring all of our staff together for that first time. They've been going through pre-service week and professional development and working to get ready, and it's a great opportunity for us to celebrate. I mean, we recognize our Teacher of the Year, who did a phenomenal job presenting. I mean, it really was hard to follow that. And then sandwiched between 2 really engaging and dynamic speakers. So I tried to do the best I can, get in and get out, and let the next speaker get on there. We recognize our Smith Award winners. We recognize our new staff. We had an engaging motivational professional development discussion. It was very interactive. It's not easy to get all of our educators up, walking around and talking about education while also smiling and laughing, and our Dr. Elmer Rhodes was able to do that while talking about a very meaningful, relevant topic, and that's bringing the 5 C's to life, and being able to do that, not even conceptually, but like these are things that you can do on the first day of school to bring this to life and make it meaningful, because as no secret to anyone, building our profile of a Nelson graduate and focusing on those 5 C's and those skills and that vehicle to bring the content alive and make it so our students can be successful after high school is a very big goal of ours, and it is a big initiative for us that we will continue to work on all throughout the year. I was really impressed. We had bus drivers, we had cafeteria workers, we had maintenance workers at convocation who stayed throughout the entire instructional piece. And because I just am impressed with that, because I think those individuals can also lend a very valuable perspective to how we're approaching our students and what we're doing. And yes, it was hot outside, it was air conditioning inside, but I think they were paying attention to what was being said and what we were doing, and I really appreciate that. We look to implement Apogee, which is our new website mass communication platform. In the next few weeks, we wanted to get the school year started before we did anything to our website. But I'm excited about it because I think it's going to make it much easier for people to navigate and find really critical pieces of information and stay up to date. Because there's an app feature that it's a one-stop shop for all the possible information, whether it's for the division, for the schools, and it pushes notifications out. So if we have an inclement weather dismissal that we need to do, it shoots that information out to people who are participating in that. And we're really excited about that. We'll be sending the kind of information out to families as we get closer to that so they understand how to go about using it and utilizing it. I just really think it'll make it easier for staff, students, families, potential new hires to find information and find what they need and be able to stay connected to us and what's going on, sporting events, lunch calendars, all different events and activities. So I'm excited about that.
That's it. Just a few things.
Yep.
Just any questions for Dr. Strong? Any other comments you want to follow? Any comments from the public? Ms. Thornton? So at the consent agenda portion of our meeting, are there any questions on the registers for June, July, or the second reading of the minutes? Barring any comments or discussions, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as a whole? I'll make a motion to approve. May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Anyone abstain? Consent agenda is approved. We have a fair amount of things on our items for information tonight. The first 2 items are first readings of the special call board meeting on the 27th of June, as well as the regular meeting on June 8th. As you read through those, if you see anything that needs to be corrected, adjusted, please let Mrs. Taunton know if you don't mind. And then on to fun summer learning. We always like to see what Mrs. Douglas and her team have done with summer learning. So Dr. House, you're going to do that.
Well, I apologize. Ms. Douglas usually does this presentation, but she is tending to a family matter, so I will try to represent the information in its best form. So every year, the instructional team, as well as others, put on a really phenomenal summer learning program that has several different components to be able to address those students who need remediation, those students and gifted and talented who need kind of through the Excel Academy different activities because we write a gifted plan and we submit it to the VDOE that has to incorporate and have several criteria to be able to encapsulate that. And then we have a lot of other really creative kind of activities that students can be engaged and hands-on and really have that relevant and meaningful learning experience. But first, before I kind of delve into any of that, we'd like to show a short little video. And Ms. Ponton, are you able to start that? There we go. Right. So thank you to Mr. Cargill and his crew and Ms. Douglas for putting that video together. As you can see through a lot of those experiences, there was very much hands-on in making it very meaningful and interesting because our students become very engaged in that process. We had about 255 students overall through all the different various programs. Like I said before, we had some remediation opportunities for students who needed some catching up. We also had some extension opportunities for other students. We had K through 7 and 8 through 12, a lot of different levels taking place. We also, for the first time, offered economics and personal finance, which is a required course at the high school level, which is a very important course. And for a lot of times, it's an opportunity. We offered it for a first-time accrual, meaning they can take it for the first time to get a credit. And that was a first-time opportunity for many of those students to get them ahead because that allows them to have some other opportunities during the school year. It's online, so it afforded us that opportunity. And it was just a really great chance to be able to offer that. The overall time frame for our summer learning was about 11.4 days because I think it was the second to last day, we had to release early due to an impending storm. We also had career academy classes. You saw some of those pictures where students had a chance to select from agriculture all-stars, automotive basics, babysitter boss, chopped, which was a culinary type class, nurses save lives, ready, set, grow, touch of beauty, and we mean business. And so a lot of great opportunities for our students to be exposed to that, but also kind of plant those seeds that we have a lot of great career and technical education offerings through not only our middle but our high school course guides. And so we're pretty excited about being able to offer that. As we also had a couple booster academies, which was, I think, for the first time offered virtually due to staffing and site location opportunities that we were able to afford it in that. Part of the Excel Academy, they had 3 different weeks where they focused on Down the Rabbit Hole, which was a focus on Alice in Wonderland camp with drama, art, music, and then they went and performed for the little ones. And so they took what they learned and they were able to kind of put it in front of some of our lower elementary students to perform it. They also had Unearth the Unexpected, where they learned about rocks and sustainable gardening through the rock quarry. And then they were going to take them on a field trip to the Schuyler quarry, but that got rained out. So that's actually going to take place this coming Saturday. We had another group of students able to go to Boxley to another quarry. So it was a really great learning experiment. And then also learning about the amusement park design concept and camp. And then they went on a field trip to Kings Dominion. So that experiential learning that really kind of emphasizes a lot of the things that take place. And so it was a great experience for our students. They seem to really enjoy it and take a lot from it. It's something that we're very, very proud of. We put forth to the VSBA our plans and things so we can see if we're able to present that out to see all the different things, particularly coming from a small rural school division and all the different opportunities that we're able to offer our students, particularly in this summer. So pretty pleased. Thank you. Any questions?
We say this every summer. We're so impressed with the quality of the programming in the summer and the engagement and participation from all of our staff. I mean, that's an add-on to the regular school year, and they bring so much excitement and creativity.
Well, and we have a lot of great partnerships, and with the Nature Foundation, working through different various groups, and I know I have all my little notes that I'm supposed to read that I'm not doing a very good job of, but we do have that support from the Nature Foundation, the Wintergreen Nature Foundation, and being able to work with these different organizations. That without that partnership, it would be a lot harder to be able to plan this. But there's a lot of effort that goes into it with a lot of our instructional team being able to plan these opportunities. And also throughout the whole summer, the book bus was able to circulate all throughout Nelson and have opportunities to be able to provide free books for elementary and also high school kids. And I think we're really proud with the volume and the traffic that we got with the book buses and the positive reception of it from families and kids. And so that's something that's really it's really kind of pleasing for us to see that kind of love of learning and love of reading starting at an early age.
The book bus continues to be supported through, can they take donations from?
Yeah, we do. We do take donations, and actually we've gotten a few donations, I believe, of like some more teen-centered books. And so a lot of times you get the younger reading ages, but we did have some contributions to the teen books. So we do, and they get vetted, and we have a team of our instructional people go through and make sure that is it age appropriate, is it appropriate, we go through and look at that. Yep. Well, thank you.
Anything else in regards to someone? Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Kim Webb. All righty. We haven't seen you for a while. Come on and talk to us about some updates on lunch prices. Okay, I don't have much.
In addition to the book contributions, they would also accept cash donations to be used to birthday support.
Can you say that into the mic?
That should be on the website, People are looking for ways to get back or with to the, links for that.
We do have the foundation there that folks could
but I haven't seen anything. We got to talk about that at some point.
Yeah. So actually what I came up to talk about was the affirmation that we are continuing to be a community eligibility provision school division so that all of our students get free breakfast and free lunch. But that doesn't negate us from the responsibility of making sure that we're charging adequate prices for our adult meals. So working with our licensure specialists at the DOE in terms of USDA requirements of what we charge, we found that we need to raise the prices for adult breakfast to $2.55 per meal and lunch to $4.35. But if you've been to a fast food restaurant lately, you'll know that $4.35 is a bargain. So you just need your approval to have that implemented. All right. Thank you.
Any questions for Shannon on
Yes. Okay. So we need to have that sign back.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. So next, we're going to get an update on the roof replacement project. Les and Shannon, we're going to see you again.
I think Leslie's going to take it over here.
Right there.
Listen, y'all did a great job. The schools were wonderful. Thank you for getting ready.
We'll get my stuff together here. I promise.
Come on, Les.
Everybody's looking at you.
We're just waiting.
Everybody's excited to hear all this news about a roof and everything else, right?
Roof.
Roof.
Yeah. Roof.
Roof, not roof. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit tonight about some projects we have going on, some rather large, and some that are coming up. I'll start off with talk about Ty River. We were able to get that water main replaced, so no more patches. We have a ductile running from the Courthouse all the way to the school now. So I want to talk a little bit about the facility study. We met with Mosley on July the 1st to tour the high school and middle school, and then again on August the 9th to tour both elementary schools. A lot of information was exchanged with them. There was a lot of good ideas that come out of that. So really looking forward to seeing what they have to present after once they get all of that together. So a little bit about the renovation progress. I know we are really early into that stage right now, but I wanted to talk about where we are to this point. We had a pre-bid conference on the 27th of July, and that was after we sent the RFP out to obtain an architect firm. We actually had 10 firms attend the pre-bid conference. I was rather impressed with the turnout. Out of those 10, we actually had 4 that submitted proposals. Shannon and I reviewed all the proposals, and we selected 2 to send to Dr. Hester for review. So that's where we are with the renovation now, progress. We do want to get moving pretty quickly with that selection process because in November, we have to have, for the 10% grant, funding construction grant, we have to have what we want to do with that grant money under contract by November. And we still have to go through a contractor selection process. So there's a lot to do between now and November. One of the architect firms kind of give us an overview of what we could select from, what we could get going quicker and be less intrusive to the students during the school year. So Shannon and I reviewed a couple of those, and I think we're going to sit down and kind of check off what we think we can get done with that 10%. Okay. Roof project. We had a progress meeting on August the 3rd to discuss the next phase in the roof project. And during the meeting, they shared with us that they're about 2.5 weeks behind in schedule due to all the rain we've had. He was going to try to fix that and get back on schedule by adding an extra crew to the project. So the last I heard, they're making good progress. All the abatement is done. So that was a really slow process. So they're actually able to pick up the pace now. So we were able to talk with them to get the side teacher parking lot open back up. That's where they were staging all the material. We got football season coming up. We really need that parking lot. We actually had them move all the material to the student parking lot on the far end. They're going to stage from there. The thought process behind that was one, to get a teacher parking lot open back up, and the other was next phase when they move to the front of the building, we want them to be able to stage from the front, and so that way they don't have to haul the material all the way around. Plus, we don't want them dragging heavy material over top of all of the new roof on the backside. So That was the thought process behind that. And during that meeting, we brought up the issue with the tar smell, because the first layer goes down is sealed with tar. And so some things that come about that is Brian Foley from Garland, where we bought our roofing material from, actually offered to donate popcorn machines. And we're going to put them into the schools. He's ordered them, and I'm just waiting for them to come in. And his thought process was, we mask one smell maybe with another smell, buttery popcorn, and that's going to be offered to the students and staff. Yeah, you can hit them. Another thing they're talking about doing is putting a vanilla additive into the tar to kind of tamper that smell down just a little bit. So we're working with that, and also charcoal blankets. They're going to wrap around all of our units, so the fresh air intake will have a charcoal filter layer around it. That'll help with the smell, and that'll also help with if we was any of our smoke detectors that are duct detectors. We've had a few of that already this summer. Had a few mishaps with that, so the steam coming off the tar. So that should cut back on that issue too.
Using it as alarm system.
Correct, exactly. They were tested out several times this summer. So. And then the last I want to talk about is the digital maps. We've been working on that for a year now. With meetings, reviewing them, I reviewed them with the principals. We looked over all of the maps and made some changes and recommendations. And we finally got the final product. And what took me so long is I wanted to be able to show you guys what it actually looks like. We'll pull up Tie River. And these have been distributed out to emergency services already. And I'm working on creating external thumb drives and downloading them. And I've already shared them with Dr. Hester and Shannon and Taylor, actually. So if we were to, so this. Zoom in a little bit, and this kind of gives you an overview of what the grounds look like. So if you notice the grids, that's an important piece to this. The way they describe it is, no matter if you're used to this building or not, if we tell you to report to P22, there's an issue in P22, emergency services know exactly where to go to. They know where P22 is. And we're also going to kind of lay out a door numbering to kind of reflect that too. And then, go back into that. Give you an idea of what it looks like as far as on the floor. So this is the second floor. And it's already laid out room numbers, hallways.
The numbering system with this, which is really good, is for the school safety aspect, and emergency responders is standard. They have a map, they know exactly where to go. A lot of times in audited buildings, the building numbering system is different if you go left to right or right to left, or windows, top to bottom. It's all over the place. This really helps standardize that.
So did you have a firm do this for you, or have you been doing it yourself?
CRG, Critical Response Group, that was part of the federal funding that came out last year for the Richmond Baptist School. We selected CRG to do that. And then part of the process, too, is they will come out. So like here, the renovation, if we happen to do any kind of structural changes, they will come out and update the system for us. Kind of what the high school looks like laid out. And when they break it down per floor, and then give an overview of what the grounds look like. So a lot of information, a lot of critical information there. I do like the way it's gridded out and the way it's laid out. So.
Will we do
Sure.
As we begin to integrate these maps and this grid into emergency response and how people come onto their grounds, will we do test runs? Will there be any mock runs of, let's just run through, there's a fire in Peak 22? Can you work into just doing a trial run to ensure that everybody's kind of thinking and on the same page?
Yeah, we have kind of gone back to being able to meet with kind of, I call it a safety task force, but we had a meeting with a lot of like state troopers, John Atkins, emergency services, different fire departments, different law enforcement, different division agents, to be able to sit and meet and have those conversations about if something were to happen, let's work together to have the best practice and have the best response possible. So that's kind of the next iteration of things that we would like to do. The schedule, I've just been so thankful with the willingness and readiness of our SROs to be a part of this and to be working with our staff because they're familiar faces. We have a pretty good working relationship with our local state trooper respondents and being able to have they come out on their off time, like if they're on a downtime, they'll come over to the schools, check into the office so they can become familiar with our buildings. And so in the iteration of and now, how would you respond? It's one thing to talk about it and have the maps at the next level. Do we have that plan for September? No, we don't. But that is in the next kind of future planning.
So I have a question in regards to the smell. Obviously, we're thinking that that's going to become a little potent because you are going to insert popcorn machines to mask that. What is our contingency plan for children that those smells become unbearable, that start to have headaches? Is there a plan to move students to a different location? Because I can envision the second floor probably having the worst of that smell versus the first floor and basement level.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's going through the thought process. We've tried to plan when they're doing it in the sections around, like we wanted to make sure that we avoid testing times. We have fall growth tests that we have to give at a specific time, so we're trying to plan around it. And then when you start planning around it, trying to figure out, we have library space, we have different spaces to try to move students. I would say that we had one of our professional development in the library where you could smell it, was it to the point where like, oh my gosh, I have a headache. You get used to it, but we are trying to work through how we can relocate people in the event we need to.
I'm glad there's contingency plan because for some individuals, those smells can really become an issue, and it may not be an issue for you, but it may be an issue for someone else. So I want to know that we have a plan to accommodate those people.
Yes, ma'am.
And sometimes masking the smell makes it worse. So I don't know. I'll be interested in seeing or smelling what the popcorn versus the tar smell and what that really does.
And one of the things that was important to Garland, and I want to interject, like the communication lines between Garland and his role with us has been phenomenal. They give us updates all the time. They're very readily available. And one of the things that was important to them is also including our administrator. Our high school or middle school administrators in the conversation. I know Mr. Walker had an opportunity to be there for a little bit of a conversation, and that was important. Like, hey, we want to have you all say if you want to do this, where do you want it to be? How do you want it to go? And they're very responsive to like, okay, if we were to say that's not working, they're very responsive to responding to that. And I appreciate that because sometimes you work with different firms and they're like, well, this is how it is. And you kind of are at their mercy in a certain sense because they're doing such big work, but they've been very understanding.
An example to that was we were planning, when we go to the next phase, we were planning to start on the middle school side first. Everything was set in place after the progress meeting. When we found out there was some testing going on at the end of September into the 1st of October, which is about the time they're going to be transitioning to the next phase, we were able to say, hey, look, can we swap ends and start at the high school side? And we will get advance notice when they get ready to go to the next section. So we're able to work through with the smells and try to help as best we can to try to at least have a heads up that they're coming. Absolutely. November. Yeah, so
And
a
you're
few more months.
like 2.5 weeks behind, but they're going to make it up.
Yes, they added extra crew members, so we should still be on schedule right now. And that's the plan. It's still November to wrap this project up.
I'm impressed with them as a contractor.
I am too.
From knowing what experiences we've had with other contractors over the last few years, the communication, we'll put extra people on. Like, that's just not been an option we've heard from some. So, I mean, I'm appreciative as a board member to hear that that's happening.
Yeah, I'm impressed by both companies. So.
Janet, you were concerned about the tar. I wonder if an air purifier would make a difference in that area.
We used to our classrooms on air purifiers, but I hope they're looking into it, because that can become a real issue for some students. Yeah, each classroom does have an air purifier, so we do know that. So it's like taking it to the hallways and things like that, something we can look into.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. That was good. And And so we've got a presentation from Mrs. Rudinger, but with Care Solid. Mike?
Yeah, I know. Not at all. And poor Tammy, I know she's trying to put us together. Right? Thank you, Tammy. Thank you. All right, well, good evening. We wanted to share some information about an organization that has a network of community providers, and we'd like to describe a little bit about what that's about. The providers for mental health and those who need support with substance abuse that we think might be beneficial to have support our Nelson County population. The name of the organization is Care Solas, and it really acknowledges those hurdles that people may experience when they're seeking the supports of mental health. Anything from the social stigma to also just navigating insurance and the phone calls and which provider takes your insurance versus what's the wait list, how long is the referral process, who do I need to call to get connected with you, those types of things. So this company is able to tear down those barriers regardless of insurance status for children. They may not even have insurance. They do a sliding scale for those who maybe have Medicaid. They take all types of insurance. And it tears down those barriers between not only county lines, but also state lines. So they have a network of providers who are able to provide telehealth support or in person, depending on if they're local, to students, also to teachers and to teachers' families. So any staff member who works in Nelson County Public Schools, if say they have a child who is in Harrisonburg, my alma mater at JMU, and they're experiencing a mental health crisis or need the support of a therapist, we're able to utilize that service for that child. Some of the statistics that they provided us is it takes about 50 to 60 calls for the average person to find available help to match specific needs, and 80% of those who need help, and I'll be exemplifying that in just a couple slides, 80% of those who need help don't receive necessarily the specialized help that they need. So the way this works in the school setting is there is a referral process through a school counselor. It's called a warm handoff, and obviously with parent permission. And then that warm handoff would go to the company, who would then work on behalf of the student and the family in order to provide the student with the resources that they need. All right, and it worked, Tammy.
So some statistics specific to Nelson are we have had suicide risk assessments at a higher level. Not to say that they all ended up being a serious risk, but at a higher level at Nelson County Middle School, especially last year with 42. In comparison, the high school was at 16. This year, regardless of the wonderful efforts on behalf of Ms. Choate, our school counseling department is not at this time fully staffed, which does take away from the supports that our high school students would be able to receive. We had a CIT meeting, it was July 7th, I believe, where they shared, just to give you a picture on some of our local immediate mental health crisis hospitals. Commonwealth Center for Children and Adolescents is the acute care hospital in Stanton. They are restricted on their intake due to staffing. It was also shared with us that the New Wing at Western State, who supports more adults, they also cannot open that new wing because of staffing. So we are in the midst of a mental health crisis. And then also, as we know, there's not as many service providers here in Nelson County. And also transportation to get to service providers outside of the county. This is additionally a data point I wanted to share. This was from our therapeutic day treatment data from last school year. What I wanted to show, and there is, you will see if you really start adding up the numbers, these numbers don't always add right up to the referrals, and that is because there are some families who they never were able to get on the phone. So the school may have made 29 referrals, but we don't have a result of 29, for instance, because some of those families just never answered their phone. So what we can see is not only intakes completed, that is the referral process. It takes about an hour or two, and they go through a variety of battery of questionnaires, and they need the student and the family. It takes a while. But so they consider when they take an intake and when they improve, then that student is eligible for therapeutic day treatment services. In this line, you can see the missed intakes from these referrals, and that is on the parents. So those are parents who maybe didn't have the time, the resources, and the availability in order to support, in order to complete that intake process for their students. So we're seeing, a need here to maybe look at different ways to help parents by taking out some hurdles and some boundaries. Also, there were some parents who declined, and I do believe that whatever we offer, that will be the case from time to time. So there's going to be some people who decline. And then this is simply a number of students who maybe didn't qualify for therapeutic day treatment, but out of these referrals, it was found that they needed outpatient treatment as well. So that is a little bit about our recent information for Nelson County. So to summarize, it really enables those people who are in need and negatively impacted by resources. It is another structure that we can put in place to help our families get what they need. Also, the schools receive live data on the number of, they call them warm handoffs. It's like a referral. And it can inform our population data, which is so important when putting in practical and relevant supports in schools to support not only our students but our teachers. Because it can break it down by students and teachers who maybe have mental health needs or substance abuse needs. It keeps staff information anonymous, but we can know if there are trends and cases of gender, age, ethnicity, or school building. Also, it can inform the targeted interventions and supports within our schools. Once the student is connected with a provider, it lets us know that. From there, it doesn't let us know anything, and that's, a confidential thing between the student and the provider. But we can see if there's a trend in those who need support for depression versus anxiety, which then would help our school counselors and mental health team support our students and our teachers. It's also minimal requirements and time put on both our mental health and crisis staff as well as building administration. There's a 30-minute Zoom session for school counselors and mental health staff, and there are, for the building administration, there's a 15-minute Zoom session, so it's not encumbering their time unnecessarily, and the training is to help them navigate the site and to understand the referral process. The cost for the division is based on the number of people in the division, and it is $7,500. That does include unlimited referrals, so we could make as many or as little referrals to Care Solas as needed, and it would not impact the price. It also does provide, they have additional training for teachers, they have a health resource center, they also provide informational flyers that we can download and even translate into languages. So there's support that it provides to the division, and also we were planning, if approved by the board, to utilize funding from Medicaid funds. And that is what I have. Do you all have any questions?
I will say, she referred to the CIP. Monthly, we work with local agencies to talk about some of the critical areas of need in our county, particularly when it comes to mental health or drug and substance abuse, and some of the issues. And one of the really pressing thing is last year, I believe, I think it may have dropped, but last year for some of the Region 10 counties, Nelson County was, in terms of percentage, leading in terms of the suicide risk. And so those are very real concerns for us. We understand the real concerns when you talk to our community and our families. Trauma is a concern and substance abuse is a concern. So that we're trying to find ways of providing supports and services and resources for not only our students, but our staff and their families, because that impacts overall Nelson. I've had several opportunities to talk with some superintendents who have been able to utilize this program. We had a wonderful conversation with Dr. Gurley over in Charlottesville. They utilize this, and I think they found like it is a nice extra layer in addition to some other things that are taking place to be able to help, because people don't have that time to spend on the phone. And our students and our staff and their families are in need of being able to be able to access these resources, and it's just in the areas that we live, in the obstacles that we face, this is very real, and this is another layer that we can use that I feel like if that can prevent one incident, it's well worth the time and the cost.
So this is being used to augment what we are currently doing. Is that correct?
Yeah, we work with Region 10. We work with a lot of different areas, and this is just another layer, like you said, augment.
It wouldn't be taking anything away.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Because we do offer FEEP services, correct? That is available to our teachers. Employees.
Yes.
Okay. Employees. Perfect. I'm like, everybody knows what that word means, right? Okay. So this is to augment what we currently have.
Correct.
Help me understand, or walk me through a day in a life. I understand this service for teachers. I think it's amazing because there are times where, FEEP is available, but maybe they want to use a different source. But help me understand what a day in the life for a student, when you're talking about this warm handoff, because for our students, working with our counselors, that personal relationship, when it comes to mental health, when it comes to what crisis they're going through, really matters.
Yes.
And I think that's where Nelson does an amazing job with our students, the counselors that we have here now. So help walk me through. Will the counselors not be meeting with the student?
No.
Or is this, once you meet with the counselor, then you get a warm handoff?
So I'm so glad you asked that. No, it does not take away at all what the role of the school counselor is in the building. It's actually just an additional tool in their arsenal. So whereas currently, right now, a student might come to a counselor, and in the counselor's mind, they're thinking, I really think this individual may benefit from outside therapy. Maybe they need a group because they're really upset about their parents' divorce, or they're really upset, they've experienced some grief. And certainly we provide groups in school, But this would be if it were something more intensive, or if the parent were saying, I'm really concerned, I really want my child to see a psychiatrist. So what it does is, in addition to what the counselor already, they can reach out to Region 10 already. They can say, okay, I need you to go to your doctor. But this would be when the counselor, when the families are saying, I can't do it, I don't have time, I don't have insurance, or when we're not really sure that there is that specific need that they have immediately available in the community. Maybe parent works at night, child's in school and day. Well, maybe then this is a way we can align them with telehealth because they can't drive. So it just kind of adds an extra layer as opposed to taking it away. And I understand what you're saying, because that was the first thought I had when Dr. Hester and I were speaking about it before I had gone through the webinar was I don't want to take anything away. Like, I don't want to step on anyone's toes with this. But it really is just an added tool, an added benefit versus replacing.
And that was a part of the conversation we had with Dr. Gurley. Like, You're in it. You're in the middle of it.
Yes.
Tell me what I need to know. And he was like, do it. I mean, I think, and he was referring us to his staff member that works very closely with the individuals. He's like, she's going to be able to walk you through it. But I think, I talked to other superintendents who were using this, and they were very, very happy with it. But when you're able to talk to someone who's right here and understands our area, and they're close to resources, we're not even as close to that access. And it's like I said, it's another layer, it's another extra. Particularly, we know that we're particularly middle school and high school. We know we're dealing with families that may not be able to spend 50 to 60 calls, and our counselors can't because they have 300 other kids that they're also working with, and so. Our counselors, our behavioral specialists, all of our individuals are very dedicated to working with our students and don't want to just slough them off to anybody else. This is that added extra benefit that we need.
What do the counselors think about this?
Anyone who I've spoken to, I've spoken very briefly because to more of the behavior specialists, they are excited about just any added resource that we can have in the community. So,
we had a conversation with a counselor earlier this week who's working with a situation, and it was from 2 to 5:30. And then when they leave you, then what? And that, I think, for us is our safety net, if you will, is when we can't be with you, what can we make sure you have access to? Because the fear is that I have this immediate person, but I also have some other students who need that love and attention and support, and we just only have so many people. And that, I think, hearing that and that frustration and that fear in a counselor's voice is meaningful to me. And it kind of, for me, it's like reassured me, like we've got to get this to be able to just be able to know that we are exhausting our efforts and trying to do what we can and what we can get.
So it's a 24-hour service?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And final question, with the $7,500, are we locked into a one-year contract for that? I'm assuming that's 1 year.
It's 1 year, yeah.
And are you locked into a 3 to 5?
No.
Locked into anything? Can you reevaluate after the end of the year?
Yes, you absolutely
can. The reason I ask that, obviously, mental health is not going away.
No,
it is going to be something that we are going to have to continue to address, which is why I continue to advocate for more counselors, more behavioral specialists. And there are more of these pop-ups. I'm not familiar with CARE Solid, so I look forward to doing some research on them. Sure. But there are tons of pop-up services such as this. And I just want to make sure that we have done our due diligence, we're getting the right thing for our buck for $7,500, and that we're also not locked into something we can't get out of and start to evaluate other services.
They're represented nationally. They also were through Virginia Association of Secondary or School Superintendents, BASS, a value partner. So it's someone that we try to do our due diligence when we look into groups and organizations, but we also recognize we don't want to be overcommitting ourselves,
right?
And it's not a good product for us. So we try to vet that, we try to look into it, but at the same time, that kick out opportunity, or not kick out, but that opportunity to be like, thank you. Perfect. Because in a year's time,
we may,
who knows what else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay.
I hope at some point, we're talking at the school level, but, it sounds like statistically, Nelson County's got some unique issues as a whole community and not just as a school system. And, we've talked about it on this board, and I hope at some point we as a community will begin to address that at a higher level and as a consortium together, as opposed to us just within the school system. What is it? Dr. Yorzabinski, you're going to give us an accreditation update.
Preliminary accreditation. Unfortunately, we are not finalized. A couple state reports, CCCRE, and the end-of-year master schedule collection have been submitted just in the past couple of days. So I wouldn't anticipate too much fluctuation, but I will emphasize preliminary. So it's been about 12 months since I've spoke to you about school accreditation. So in the packet, I just kind of kept it simple. Front cover page with just how accreditation works and what the indicators are, and then a school-by-school color-coded chart with each indicator, and just some bullets of the glows and some potential grows with each school building. So just for review, so we know what we're looking at, accreditation is based on 6 indicators at all schools, and then 3 additional ones at the high school. The 6 indicators at each school, 5 of them are academic, and that's going to be overall student success in the areas of English, math, and science. And then content areas of English and math are then broken down into what are called gap groups. So we look at the students at the demographic level, and that is a 7 gap group area. We have black students, white students, Hispanic, multiracial, economically disadvantaged, English language learners, and students with disabilities. Beyond academics, each school is also scored on chronic absenteeism. This is non-attendance at a rate of 10% or greater. The high school, they get 3 of their own indicators, and this is based on the graduating cohort each year. So this data that is presented is based on the class of 2023. And those 3 areas are the graduation and completion index, the dropout rate, and brand new this year, what is called the college career and civics readiness indicator. And I'll go into that a little bit more. So I'm not going to go through each school at the granular level, but my big takeaways combined, looking at this from a division level, all schools will be either accredited or accredited with conditions. So accredited would be all levels of all indicators are level 1 or level 2. Accredited with conditions would be a level 3 or several level 3s. When you're accredited with conditions, you're required to create a corrective action plan and implement it with fidelity, with the intention of growing. That is evaluated with the DOE the following year. If your level improves, you did it. If it didn't, they may want to ensure fidelity to that plan, or they may audit and ask for additional components of that plan. Or accreditation denied, that's when you do not follow that plan with fidelity. The majority of academic outcomes from our accreditation results this year were consistent or better than 21-22 accreditation outcomes. So we're growing. Starting at the high school, continued success in definitely all our high school specific outcomes. 94% in the graduation completion index, just a raw score of 94, and a 4% dropout rate. And we really like to celebrate these because the magnitude of every outcome other than on-time graduation is extremely impactful, especially considering that each cohort is getting smaller and smaller. Also, the first year with the CCCRI, again, this is creating a count of students who engage in either advanced courses, who are CTE completers with a credential. That would be a sequential completion, Auto 1, Auto 2, and then a credential exam, state inspection or ASE certification. So that's kind of difficult to get because there's 3 components to that. Work-based learning experiences. These are internships or clinical trials, or clinical students, not trials, and supervised agricultural experiences. This form the bulk of them. And the last one would be service learning. And we're sitting right now at 78.5% of our cohort. That could potentially go up because, like I said, MSC is going to impact that. That's the master schedule collection, as well as workplace readiness exams that are reported by workplace readiness. And those are due to the state by the middle of this month. Big celebration for math outcomes. All 4 schools in the division are level 1 in overall academic proficiency and all of their academic gap groups. So nothing but green across the board in math. And we've made some growth in English. The majority of the schools have made some pretty good strides in English, and we have identified strategic plans to overcome any deficiencies we're seeing there. Leveraging the master schedule, leveraging personnel, alignment of resources, providing opportunities for common planning, resource and collab classrooms, making sure we're developing and implementing impactful curriculum, and then following up with assessments and diagnostics and solid remediation plans. Science, not as good as math, but we're still level 1 across the board in all 4 schools. So kind of the elephant in the room, not really, but the source of most of the red on those papers is chronic absenteeism. And I'd like to articulate, chronic absenteeism is not a measure of truancy. Truancy is a component of that. Any non-attendance could be an excused absence, could be a suspension, could be an illness. If a student's not in school counting for attendance that day, school field trips obviously wouldn't impact it, but it's going to count against us for chronic absenteeism. So it's very comprehensive. Also, it's not a Nelson thing. It's not a region thing, it's a state thing. So a lot of schools have had issues with our chronic absenteeism results, and it actually went to vote in the March State Board of Education Department meeting to get it removed from accreditation this year. But it was not. 6 out of 9 voted to keep it in. And unfortunately, some of the rules for it have changed as well. As I was reading the preliminary accreditation reports, only the outcomes for 22-23 will be used. There will be no 3-year average, and schools that may have improved by 10% or more will have to stick with whatever level they were. So the decrease in attendance or non-attendance will not be accepted. But it's not all negative. I think this is one area that we can actually celebrate, a lot of bright spots. Attendance has been tackled with tenacity at all 4 schools. Our expectation is all students, all day, every day. And definitely our APs and our attendance officers are communicating that message. All 4 schools showed improvement. So there was a 25.7% reduction of chronic absenteeism at the high school, 29.5% reduction at the middle school, almost a 20% reduction at Rockfish, and a 30% reduction at Tie River. So if the 10% reduction rule was applicable this year, schools would be at level 2 or level 1 at Rockfish. But focusing on attendance, we have incorporated attendance teams at each school, so we have more frequent and deliberate monitoring of non-attendance, identification of the students and interventions, and providing some resources to get the kids in school, to both the students and the families. We've also formed some pretty impactful relationships with through truancy and diversion meetings. We've been meeting with representatives from the court services and J&D court, so now they are actually present at the secondary level for some of our truancy meetings, which expedites the process for court referrals and court-ordered attendance. So impact the truancy side of that. So starting with week 1, with monitoring and knowing what our plan is with attendance, I can say we're probably going to make similar strides this year. And also it's an opportunity to collaborate with the family and really emphasize the importance of getting kids to school. And I love to see the reductions at the elementary level, because when we set the stage and set the expectation for attendance early, we don't have to worry too much about it at the secondary level. So as you look through those, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me, or if you want to look at the data at a more granular level, either through the academic content areas or the gap group demographic areas, let me know and I can definitely provide that for you.
I think one add to this is that we sometimes have forgotten is, if you remember back at the start of the school year, we were still battling COVID and those absences that were associated with it. Parents wanting to be able to have that say in my student is going today or they're not. And we understand we don't want people getting sick. And so with that having gone on last year, we still saw a reduction in absenteeism, in chronic absenteeism. And I think that that's really, really important and reflective of the effort that went into trying to make sure that we're reducing that. And I will say that a goal of us as a division in each of our schools this year is the family and community engagement. Increasing that and being able to have those relationships being built. As superintendents, one of the things we advocated is we know that we have some parents saying, my kid's sick, I'm keeping them home, and advocating those excused absences being taken out of that factor, because we don't necessarily always have that control, and we don't want people showing up sick either. And that's a tough battle. and being able to have those conversations. And they're continuing on the pathway. The state's continuing on the pathway that they've chosen to continue. We continue to advocate. But I'm very, very proud of the efforts that our teachers, our attendance teams, and our administrators have put into reducing this. And it starts young. It starts with our elementary and our younger parents and our younger students to get them and getting that love of learning and being excited to coming into school and having those relationships with our schools, and then making sure that we stay on top of it as they get older and different challenges develop. And I think that there has been a very big concerted, targeted effort on this, and it started whether it's through Facebook and messaging to our families from the division level and school level about every child every day, all day. Because sometimes, I'm just picking my child up 10 minutes early. 10 minutes over the course of 184 days, that's a lot of time. It's 15 hours. Some math's hard. But, it adds up. It really adds up, and you just dismiss 5 or 10 minutes, and then the year has gone by, and how disruptive that is when you pull someone out 10 minutes early. And there's just a lot going on, and really having that consistent, frequent conversation about the importance, because research shows attendance matters. It matters by the third grade in terms of reading levels, and it can be predictive of on-time graduation rates, even that young. It matters, and that's why sometimes parents get mad at us. Like, it matters that you're here. It matters to us, but it matters because it impacts your child, and being able to work with those families and try to overcome whatever obstacles that are going on, whether they're mental health or whatever.
Also, like that we do the surveys for the school calendar, so everybody's informed. Going into the next year, what days are available so they can plan around those days. I think that's been a very good thing so they have these days set out for them that they can use for vacation or whatever. It's worked out well.
Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Thank you. I'll just add to that. I think the improvement in the absenteeism, we know it's good to see that you've got a plan for that moving forward, but I think you do celebrate the fact that there are vast improvements on that from the year. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. All righty. And now with Dr. Hester with Pathways to Success.
All right. This is my favorite part, but one more opportunity for you to listen to me. So, the last time we met was June, and I had a wonderful opportunity to talk about the graduation and the highlights. And we really hit the ground running. A lot of things took place over the summer. When we look at the administrative department, we had year-end closeout. So, the summer and leading into the school year is when we have our audits, and it's very hectic. It's nerve-wracking. It's stressful. So, year-end closeouts and tracking accrued revenue has taken place. Also, it's a time of open enrollment for all of our staff to be able to make sure they have their voluntary benefits in order and everything that they need to do, as well as health insurance. We also conducted an RFP for optional insurances, Section 125, and then TSA administration, so voluntary benefits, just to make sure that we're providing the best opportunities for our staff. We also held an RFP. We had a pre-bid and an RFP for the high school renovation. And just for some of you who are not remembering, we applied for a competitive construction grant, and we were awarded about, was it $2.45 million, something like that, predicated off of what our county will be able to provide us. So that's why when it comes to the RFP process, it's difficult. It's difficult to make sure we're under contract and getting those funds by that November date. So that's why we really want to make sure we can provide the best opportunities and options for our county in terms of really renovating the high school. It needed to be targeting that particular location. Ms. Irvin and some of our resource officers were able to participate in the DCJS safety training. It takes place right before the beginning of the school year, where they review a lot of best practices and standard response protocols and things that we will really look forward to implementing and bolstering our safety and security of our students, staff, families, and our community, ultimately. Also filed school security grant applications, kind of following in that genre of security, but also our Title IV and our security grants, a whole bunch of effort being put into trying to get these funds to build up the safety and security of our campuses. And also the implementation of a new workers' comp program. We've been working with Mosley also through the facility use study. That is very time intensive for a lot of different individuals, particularly Mr. Campbell, but also I'm very
appreciative of Mosley Architects to really want to involve the instructional side of it, the principals, the admin, those who work with it, because these are functioning 21st learning sites, and they want to utilize it in the best possible way. In terms of instruction, again, gosh, lots of things taking place. In the summer, that's an opportunity for professional learning and conferences, and taking place with the federal funding programs. Both of our elementary schools participate in Title I, and we also receive funding for Title II, which is quality instructional practices and supporting that. And then Title III, which really targets our working with our families of ELS and ESOL program. And then Title IV is that innovative, more all-encompassing federal grant program that we can use funds to kind of create a more innovative and supportive, well-rounded instructional environment. Several administrators also participated in CIP. It's a program that we participated, comprehensive instructional program. It's a phenomenal way of tracking data and being able to monitor and stay on top of this is where you are and this is where you need to be, and this is able to disaggregate the data to help our teachers be able to target where they need to remediate, where they need to build on, and this is your students are doing really well in these areas. Continue to move on forward. We also received a lot of backpack donations. Thank you to Hannah Hoser and Holly Cheap, who organized a backpack donation on State Farm behalf, but also today we had a member from the Rotary and Satara donate some backpacks, and has gone to the Heritage Center and then each one of our locations to be able to donate those backpacks. And in a call today, someone was saying that the average student supplies is anywhere from 80 to 88, and if you noticed, there wasn't a tax-free holiday this year, and so those costs get passed on somewhere, and that's a lot. And a lot of our teachers kind of make sure that they provide what isn't available to those students. Our schools do that as well. We always encourage teachers to go to our administrators, ask, hey, how can we support our students? But when you have your community and you have your community partners stepping up and helping out, we greatly appreciate that. During Teacher Pre-Service Week, our teachers and our staff are involved in their professional learning or getting their rooms set up, and they still have kids that haven't started school yet either. So I appreciate the efforts of some of our former students, some of our IAs, and through our early childhood development and our Teachers for Tomorrow programs, organizing the mini GUBs. We have people who come in and provide that supervision of students, so our teachers and our IAs can get things done during that time to be ready to open up our doors. Professional development took place all summer long, whether it was with all of our core content areas, our CTE, but also our administrators, making sure that we're providing the best possible opportunity for everyone. And then that's it for instruction. There was just a lot going on, and I just appreciate the efforts of because the summertime is the busy time for central office and administrators in the buildings, because they're getting everything ready for this busy time of starting up the school year. So there's just a lot going on, and I appreciate the efforts. In terms of pupil personnel, there's been a very concerted strategic effort in trying to help support our students in character development, social, emotional, and mental health supports. And so our elementary schools will be participating in something called Connor Strong, and a lot of our local school divisions will also be doing that. So it's a wonderful opportunity to kind of pair up and work. Our school counselors at the elementary level will be providing these lessons and taking it back to our students and going through that training, so they can identify some of the mental health or social obstacles that are taking place and be able to support our students. As Ms. Reudinger talked about, Care Solace and another layer of supports that we're bringing for all of our students and our staff and their families, which is super important. We have a continued partnership with the Virginia Institute of Autism, as well as Piedmont Regional Education Programs. You sometimes hear us refer to it as PREP. So we have that ongoing partnership, and also the increased professional development on behalf of targeting our special ed teachers, so they can. It's a tough job, and as we've talked about, research shows that it takes more to educate special education students just due to their various learning needs, and so providing our teachers with that support is really important. In terms of human resources and communications, the beginning of the school year, we're getting a lot of those documents ready: talent ed, teacher evaluation,
the handbooks taking place. We're still recruiting and hiring to fill vacancies, and I applaud Ms. Choate and her team because in a time and a climate where we're reading, different school divisions are 300 teachers down or 300 staff members down, and where they can't provide transportation. I just applaud everybody working so hard to be able to try to bring in those quality individuals to be a part of our NCPS family. Also, we had a chance for a celebration of our staff through convocation, where we heard Ms. Mayo, our Division Teacher of the Year, provide a really inspirational message that it was phenomenal. It really was. We're also continuing to provide that support for incoming substitutes. At any given time, we're always in need of substitutes, so if anybody's out there is listening, please, by all means, reach out to Ms. Choate to sign up for being a substitute, but also in need of training. Understanding what that role is, what they need to be doing, and feel that support. And then I really appreciate the efforts of Ms. Choate and HR for highlighting our new hires, and whether it's through Facebook or through different media outlets, and being able to spotlight them. And I just appreciate that because we want our new hires and all of our staff to understand that they're valued and they're important to us. So I appreciate that. In terms of technology, the Nelson County Instructional Technology Group has been very, very busy. They've been re-imaging and getting new laptops. Rockfish is on the cycle to get the new laptops this year, as well as several administrators, and also then distributing that out to everybody, which is not a small feat over the summer. The teachers aren't always here, so you have to get those laptops, get them imaged, get them back out. So I appreciate that effort. They work very closely as well with the transportation and maintenance to develop a lot of our grant opportunities, particularly when it comes to safety. And there has been a great effort in installing a lot of the cameras, and these cameras really provide another layer of safety for on the external and internal aspects of our campuses and our buildings, particularly at the high school and the middle school, as well as message boards and things that can really help with the school safety components. They're also actively involved in training our staff, whether it's through Promethean boards that they did quite a bit last year, but also working with our new staff to teach them Google Drive tips and tricks, kind of combine that together, and also working through Google Classroom, Canvas, all the things that they're going to need to be successful in the classroom. Meanwhile, they're also revamping their space. So they want to be able to create a help desk where they can potentially have students working to be able to work on the laptops, developing those employable skills of working with building back laptops and rebuilding them and repairing them, and creating a space for them to do like a help desk space, and creating that really viable workspace to help support students develop those skills. Also, the division-wide Microsoft 11 transition, which has been a lot going on, upgrading I've forgotten what they're called. What are they called, Mike? The switches. Well, they did that all last year. I'm sorry. And he's ignoring me, so I don't blame him. But servers, that's a tough word. They've been updating the servers in each of these locations, which, again, in our world, being able to have the servers working and the internet working so our students can have that engaging instruction is super important. Maintenance. Mr. Campbell talked about the installation of the ductile pipes over at Tye River. 10 days before the end of the school year, we had a water main break that really could have been a much bigger impact on us, but we were really able to put a temporary repair so we could get through the end of the school year and then repair it in the right way. So I thank Southern Air and I thank Mr. Campbell for being able to get that done. We were able to hold our summer learning at Tye River in a definitive space amount of time, and as soon as it was over, they started work on that. And that is, it takes a lot to coordinate that, and there was availability. And these individuals, and I just appreciate their responsiveness of how quickly they got out to us and how willing they were to work and get us back on track, because that's important. That would have been very difficult to be able to send our Tye River students to at least 2 different locations to be able to adequately educate them and have space for them. Also, been meeting with Mosley to discuss the facility use plan, the pre-bid meeting that you can see there. They've gotten the auditorium stage and the high school, middle school gym floors refinished, so they look great. And our landscaping crew, our outdoor crew, all throughout the summer doing everything they can to make sure that our campuses look good for the start of the school year. There's just been a lot of things taking place, painting the inside of the middle school and high school to make sure that it looks good, getting the CRGS. One thing Mr. Campbell didn't talk about, that process of getting the digital maps was very time consuming. They walked each room. So each of our administrators took almost a day in the summer to walk around with these individuals and tell them, this is a science room, this is this room, this is this room, this is what this is used for. So they took notes, and very detailed notes. So I appreciate the willingness of our administrators to do that, and Mr. Campbell, because he was at each one of them. But it's important to make sure that those maps are accurate, because hopefully not, they could be of a great service to us. Transportation. It was a pretty busy summer. Thank you to our bus drivers, whether they were bus or van and car. They were the ones taking our students to and from summer learning, as well as those field trips that provided that hands-on learning. They also took time using the route planner to make sure that we have effective and efficient routes for our students to make it the best possible, and to make sure that we are being as fiscally responsible as we can, having the routes that we need and nothing more. Also took delivery of the new DEF tank. I had to ask what the DEF tank was. It's a diesel and exhaust fluid tank. We had to travel to go get that. Any diesel vehicle from 2010 and beyond were required to use this, and by acquiring this and having it on location, it's ended up saving us, I think it was costing us about $3+ a gallon, and now we've dropped it down to $1.80 a gallon to be able to use this and have it on site. So I really appreciate Mr. Ashley's efforts in doing that. And also, it's amazing the willingness of our transportation department to go full bore into the celebrations, whether it was during the Christmas parade, decorating the buses and working with students and staff, but also for the 4th of July parade that was brought back to the town of Lovingston, and decorating our bus and being a part of it. And I just am so thankful for it, and they love doing it. And also welcoming our new teachers. I think it's really, really important that when we bring our new teachers on, we have them go on a bus trip that goes all throughout Nelson, so they can really see 475 square miles. We have a vast, expansive geography, and it looks very different, and it covers very different areas. And I just appreciate a lot of our partners who provided peaches or provided gift cards and different things to our new staff. But it was a lot of fun for them to take that trip, and they also were able to, at the Overlook Ms. Knight, was able to get with our new staff and take a picture while they went on that trip. Food nutrition, summer feeding program. We are feeding our students in summer learning breakfast and lunch all throughout the meetings. I think it was over 1,165 breakfasts and 1,800 lunches, over 1,800 lunches. Every opportunity they took, they used local products. Whether they're purchasing those local products or taking donations, whether it's through Saunders Brothers or Drumhellers, they were always using those local products to provide a healthy option for our students. And staff development for our cafeteria crew. A lot of the managers went to a workshop in Harrisonburg, and then also a culinary training in Waynesboro to be the best that they can be, and we really appreciate that. And excuse me, last but not least, I told you a little bit about all-county convocations. These are just some of the pictures. I think it's really important to point out, this is the Friday before you start school. It's a long week, and everybody's getting everything ready. And to get several hundred educators in one spot to be able to get up and actively and excitedly talk about instruction and the different ideas that they have all at once, being able to mingle with each other and talk about it, like on a Friday before we start school, that's pretty amazing. And I really credit it to the inspirational presentation by Stephanie Mayo, but also we had a really great speaker, Dr. Almarode, who really kind of emphasized the importance of those 5 C's in the profile of a graduate, and how it kind of thrusts our students into being more prepared and things that we can do from day one to be able to support them. So I just love some of those pictures. And then obviously our first day of school, that's why we do what we do, is when we have our little ones come back to, or not so little ones come back to us. And I just appreciate everything that goes on. It was an exciting day. It was a great first day. And I just really appreciate it. I was able to make it out to all 4 schools. I was there for Rockfish when the buses came in, and then I was able to go, and I was at the middle school and the high school when the buses left on that first day. And the kids looked tired when they were walking out, and the staff was waving enthusiastically. But I really appreciate everything that went in to make that first day successful, and really our first week, and it kickstart what I look forward to as a great school year. So I get to do this part, so I'm the lucky one, but I am happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Dr. Hester or comments on her presentation? A lot going on.
And I will make sure that this presentation gets posted to our website. That was something that I really want to make sure that we kind of be able to put this information out there for those who aren't always able to see it, or maybe streaming by putting it online. We're able to share that a little bit more.
Okay, guys, that is the end of our items for information. Do you need, Dr. Hester, are you asking us to approve money for Care Solace, or do you need anything from us?
I think we are asking for that approval just because we're making that investment.
So we're going to need,
like you said, we're using this Medicaid funds.
Yeah. So we're going to need to amend the agenda and our items for action for two things. One, we'll need a motion to amend the agenda to add the approval of the updated lunch and breakfast prices, and we will need to amend the agenda to add on an action item for approval if we so decide on Care Solace.
Do you need one motion to do both of those?
You can do one motion. We're just amending the agenda, so I think you can do one motion to amend with those two different action items.
I move that we amend the agenda to include action items to possibly approve the Care Solace expenditure and to, what was the second one? Lunch. Oh yeah, and to approve the change in the lunch prices.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay, we can add those two items to our items for information, items for action on the agenda. So they'll go at the bottom of the items that we already have. So we have several items for action. We're going to take these one at a time. The first one is a religious exemption request. Are there any questions for staff on that? If not, is there a motion to approve the religious exemption request?
I make a motion to approve the religious.
Is there a second to the motion? I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone abstain?
I'll abstain.
The religious exemption request has been approved. Okay, so this next item, we have a fair amount of VSBA policies that were updated. Many were just updated due to coding changes, etc. There are a couple that we just had to add some days into, just some information here or there. Would we like to address each individual policy, or would we like to just discuss the ones where we had to either pick option 1, option 2, or make changes today?
For me, I've read them all, but I do want to know the ones where we've made some changes just for Madison. Okay, because I didn't see that indicated in the changes. They were just red lines or blue lines. So I need to know what specific changes were made.
That's good for everybody? Okay. So first policy that we need to make a notation on is policy BDDL, which was an optional policy that we have not adopted in the past. It's tied to electronic participation in committee meetings from remote locations. Do we care to add that into our policies this go around the policy adoption?
Yes, for me.
Okay, Margaret. And this is just a consensus so that we will vote as a whole if we have consensus on each item.
It basically just follows the same protocol that we use for our regular board meetings.
Exactly.
Yeah, but not fine with me too, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, policy JEA, we had an option 1 or an option 2. We are currently using option 2. We did not have days in there for board response or response to board grievances, but for people who want to question. We just need to put days in. When we check days, people who use that option 2, 5 days seems to be the amount of days that we utilize.
And which one was that?
JEA, correct.
You mean JECA?
No, JEA, compulsory attendance. So within that policy, you go down to alternative education programs, the next paragraph down. Says any petition for review of the decision of the superintendent or superintendent's designee must be filed within blank days. We do not have any days in that. So when Jamie checked around with other districts, 5 days seemed to be the consensus of what people were using with option 2. So as we look that up, barring any discussion, are we comfortable with adding that 5 days, or is there another set of days you'd like to add?
This is in the definition of what time we use, correct?
Yeah, in that one, yeah. Okay, any questions on that one? Are we good? I'm still Janet.
Oh, I'm fine.
That was fine. JEC, and again, if you read, we will see under that one, there's no days allotted on that one as well. The consensus of people within that policy surrounding us is 10 days. Are we good with that? Okay. And JFCF, we are using option 2, so when we approve, we'll just need to know that it's option 2 that's currently what we're using within our policies. JGD, again, it's option 1 for that one. Policy KBA-E, there are no rates within that. We will need to add rates, and the rates will be added to match. It's the regulatory policy. We have another policy that aligns to that one that we do have rates in, so we will need to align those rates from that policy with this one. Any questions on that? And then policy KF will be option 2. And those are all options that we are currently using. We're just highlighting what option we will be approving in the policy update. The rest of the policies that were updated, it was solely, like we said, changes to code or aligning other policies to that. So are there any questions in regards to those notations on those policies? If not, with the addition of the days, Tammy, and the conversation that we just had, we can have a motion to approve the policies as a whole, inclusive of a policy that we had saved out, policy IKFD. Remember, we had held that one out for Dr. Hester and Kim to verify a couple things. That policy is coming back in as written. And if I can have a motion to approve all of the policy updates for May 2023 as a second reading with the changes that we said.
I move that we approve the policies with the changes that we just noted.
May I have a second for that policy? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone abstain? The May 2023 second reading policies are approved. Okay. The next item for action we have is the field trip request for the marching band to Florida. I need a motion to formally approve that.
I move that we approve the field trip to Florida.
A second? I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Anyone abstain? Field trip to Florida is formally approved. We have a field trip request for the FFA to go to Massachusetts for livestock judging. Do I have a motion to approve this field trip request?
I move that we approve the field trip FFA to, did you say Massachusetts?
Yep.
Yes.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Anyone abstain? The field trip is approved to Massachusetts. We have another field trip request. This is the Excel Academy to the Quarry Gardens. May I have a motion to approve this field trip request? I'll make a motion to approve. May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Anyone abstain? The field trip request to the Quarry Gardens has been approved. So we have an item for action to approve surplus items to be disposed of or sold. It's 6 elementary-sized cafeteria tables, 37 old microscopes that aren't functional. We have a motion to approve the surplus items.
Go ahead.
Approve the surplus items to be sold.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay, surplus item motion passes. And then we'll need a motion to go into closed session for personnel as well as legal issues this evening.
We also need to approve the money spent on
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We're such a role. Okay, so we need a motion to approve the updated lunch prices, breakfast at $2.55 and adult lunch at $4.45.
I move that we approve the meal prices as presented.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay, the lunch prices, updated lunch prices are approved. Now, I also need a motion to approve the $7,500 for Care Solace to be implemented.
I move that we approve the expenditure on the Solace program.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay, so you have approval for Care Solace. Yes. Okay, so now I need a motion to go into closed session for personnel issues and legal issues.
I move that the school board go into closed meeting to discussing, which one did you say?
Personnel.
Personnel and legal, okay, sorry. To discuss and consider the personnel positions for the Nelson County Public Schools and or other confidential personnel matters as authorized by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1 for purposes of discussion or consideration or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, and to discuss legal matter with counsel as authorized by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A8 for consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by the school board regarding a specific legal matter or matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel.
May I have a second? A second. All those in favor to go into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone abstain? We're now in closed session. Thank you all.